There are moments in Hollywood when a photograph is supposed to do one thing, yet ends up doing another entirely. A moment meant to celebrate beauty, success, and glamour suddenly shifts direction, becoming something else. Something quieter. Something more revealing. And often, something far more controversial than anyone planned. On January 4th, while much of the world was still easing back into routine after the holidays, makeup artist Laura Mele posted what appeared to be a simple, celebratory Instagram moment. The location was the Caribbean. The subject was Lauren Sanchez. The intention was clear. This was a showcase of professional work, a polished face, flawless lighting, and a glamorous New Year's Eve setting. A final look, frozen in time. But social media, as it often does, decided to look somewhere else. The post included 2 photographs. In the first image, Lauren Sanchez was seated, her knees drawn close to her chest, one hand resting on her head. It was an intimate pose, relaxed yet controlled, the kind of pose that suggests confidence mixed with vulnerability. The lighting was soft. The setting felt exclusive, private, the kind of place where the outside world does not easily intrude. In the second photograph, Sanchez was standing. Her posture was upright. One hand rested firmly on her hip. She wore a backless black halter top, designed with deliberate cutouts, decorated with small diamante details that caught the light. The outfit was paired with a matching skirt, sleek and elegant, designed to move with the body rather than restrict it. It was fashion-forward, bold, intentional, and yet that was not what many people focused on. Laura Mele confirmed in her caption that the photos were taken on New Year's Eve, writing simply, "And why you with the baddest?" before tagging Sanchez, the hairstylist, and the photographer. In the world of celebrity culture, this was standard practice. Credit the team. Celebrate the moment. Move on. But the internet did not move on. Within hours, comments began to stack up. Not about the makeup. Not about the craftsmanship. Not even about the setting. Instead, viewers zoomed in. They analyzed posture, fabric, skin, lighting, shadows. What was meant to be a controlled image suddenly became a public discussion, dissected frame by strangers who felt invited into a moment that was never meant to belong to them. And this is where the story truly begins. Because Lauren Sanchez is not just another celebrity posting glamorous vacation photos. She exists at a rare intersection of media, wealth, power, and public fascination. Former journalist, licensed pilot, media personality, and now, the wife of Jeff Bezos, one of the most powerful men in the modern world. When someone like Lauren Sanchez appears in a photograph, the image does not exist in isolation. It carries weight, history, assumptions, projections. Every pose becomes a statement, whether intended or not. To some, the images represented confidence and freedom. A woman comfortable in her skin, enjoying the rewards of a life lived boldly. To others, the photos became a lightning rod, sparking conversations about age, beauty standards, public scrutiny, and the impossible expectations placed on women in the spotlight. And quietly beneath all of it, there was something else. A reminder of how quickly admiration can turn into examination. Lauren Sanchez has spent decades in front of cameras. From newsroom studios to red carpets, from helicopter cockpits to exclusive events attended by the world's elite. She understands the power of an image. But even for someone experienced, there are moments when the audience takes control of the narrative. This was one of those moments. Because what should have been a simple New Year's Eve celebration became a case study in modern celebrity culture. A moment that revealed less about the woman in the photograph and far more about the world watching her. In the days that followed, the discussion grew louder. Screenshots circulated. Commentary videos appeared. Articles followed. The focus shifted from the craftsmanship of makeup artistry to something more invasive, more personal. And yet, through it all, Lauren Sanchez remained silent. No statement. No clarification. No attempt to redirect the narrative. That silence, intentional or not, spoke volumes. It forced the public to sit with its own reactions. To confront the uncomfortable truth that even in moments of celebration, women, especially women connected to immense power, are rarely allowed simple visibility without judgment. But to understand why this moment resonated so deeply, we have to step back. We have to understand who Lauren Sanchez is, how she arrived here, and why every image of her now carries more meaning than ever before. Because this story is not really about a dress, or a photograph, or even a New Year's Eve post. It is about the price of visibility in a world that never stops watching. And that is where Cinematic Sins continues. In the end, it was not clear where exactly Lauren Sanchez was that night, or who surrounded her beyond the small, carefully tagged circle in the photograph. The Caribbean setting remained deliberately vague. The guest list stayed private. The details, the kind people usually demand from celebrity culture, were never filled in. And then came her response. Simple. Calm. Almost disarming in its restraint. Such a fun night. Thank you. No explanation. No defense. No attempt to redirect attention or correct interpretation. Just gratitude. In a world where public figures are expected to justify every image, every pose, every choice, that brief response felt intentional. Almost strategic. Because sometimes the most powerful move is not to speak louder, but to speak less. Lauren Sanchez did not argue with the internet. She did not try to control the narrative once it escaped her hands. Instead, she acknowledged the moment and moved forward, allowing the noise to burn itself out. And perhaps that is the real story here. Not a scandal, not a controversy, not even a misunderstanding, but a reflection of the modern celebrity condition, where a single image can spark days of debate, and where women, especially women connected to immense wealth and influence, are rarely allowed to exist publicly without being analyzed, judged, or reframed. Lauren Sanchez has lived many lives in the public eye. Journalist, pilot, media personality, partner, and now, wife to one of the most powerful men on the planet. With each chapter, the scrutiny has only grown sharper, the expectations heavier, and the margin for human imperfection narrower. Yet moments like this reveal something quieter beneath the surface. A woman who understands the spotlight well enough to know when not to fight it. A woman who recognizes that not every narrative deserves her energy. A woman who allows an image to exist, even when others insist on reshaping it. Because sometimes a photograph is just a photograph. Sometimes a celebration is just a celebration. And sometimes a simple thank you is enough. In the end, this was never really about New Year's Eve. It was about visibility. It was about power. And it was about how the world reacts when a woman refuses to apologize for being seen. And that, quietly, may be Lauren Sanchez's most revealing statement of all. Lauren Sanchez's free spirit is not something she explains. It is something she performs. It lives in the way she moves through a room, the way she dresses without apology, the way she dances as if no one is watching, even when everyone is. To some fashion critics, it looks excessive. To others, it feels confusing. But to her husband, Jeff Bezos, the reaction seems almost the opposite. He appears unfazed, even quietly amused, as if he understands something the rest of the world does not. And that is where the story truly begins. Because Lauren Sanchez is not simply a public figure. She is not just a former journalist. She is not only the wife of one of the richest men on earth. She is a symbol of a very modern kind of power. A power that does not always ask for permission. A power that reshapes rooms just by entering them. Once, she stood behind a news desk, delivering headlines with measured calm, trained posture, and professional restraint. Today, she exists in a different orbit entirely. One that floats above everyday rules. A rarefied bubble where private jets replace commercial terminals, where global travel is routine, where invitations are handwritten and exclusive, and where celebrity guests arrive not as spectacle, but as friends. The transition from journalist to global social figure did not happen overnight. Nor did it happen quietly. Lauren Sanchez's life today looks like a continuous motion. Aspen one week, the Caribbean the next. Europe after that, Venice,
Paris, St. Bart's, Miami.
each destination blending into the next, stitched together by couture gowns, sunlit yachts, and a full glam team that never seems far behind.
Hair,
Makeup,
styling,
lighting, even leisure appears carefully composed. And yet, those close to her say this is not an act. They say this is who she has always been. To understand why Lauren Sanchez draws such intense reactions, you have to understand the world she now inhabits. This is a world where wealth is not just money, but insulation. Where consequences are softened by access. Where criticism becomes background noise. And where personal expression becomes a form of quiet rebellion. Fashion critics often struggle with her style choices. They describe them as loud, too revealing, too theatrical, too much. They compare her to an earlier Hollywood archetype, the glamorous outsider who refuses to blend in. But that criticism misses the point. Lauren Sanchez does not dress to disappear. She dresses to be seen. And in Hollywood, being seen is a currency more powerful than money. Her clothing choices are rarely accidental. Cut-out dresses, bold silhouettes, shimmering fabrics, sky-high heels. These are not attempts to fit into old money elegance. They are statements, signals, a reminder that she does not come from the same social mold as the tech elites who once dominated Jeff Bezos' life. And Jeff Bezos knows this. When the two appear together, something fascinating happens. He does not try to dim her presence. He does not ask her to soften her edges. He does not seem embarrassed by the attention she attracts. Instead, he watches with something that looks like pride. Sometimes even delight. This dynamic unsettles people. Because for decades, billionaires' partners were expected to fade gracefully into the background. Tasteful.
reserved,
Nearly invisible. Lauren Sanchez is none of those things. She laughs loudly. She dances freely. She leans into the camera instead of stepping away from it. And she does so without apology. The criticism that follows her often reveals more about society than it does about her. It reflects discomfort with a woman who refuses to age quietly. With a woman who does not retreat after marriage. With a woman who enters elite spaces without adopting elite restraint. And yet, she is welcomed everywhere. From red carpet events to private holiday gatherings, from high-profile galas to intimate celebrity dinners, Lauren Sanchez is always present, always styled, always aware of the lens. The Kardashian-Jenner family appears alongside her not as guests, but as equals. The language of celebrity blends seamlessly with the language of extreme wealth. This is not coincidence. It is strategy. Hollywood has always understood one thing very clearly. Power must be visible to be believed. And Lauren Sanchez understands this instinctively. Her presence amplifies Jeff Bezos' post-Amazon identity. No longer the reclusive tech founder. No longer the man behind spreadsheets and logistics, but a global figure who has stepped into culture, spectacle, and social relevance. She is not beside his transformation. She is part of it. Critics sometimes describe her lifestyle as detached from reality. And perhaps the word bubble fits. But it is a bubble reinforced by money, access, and influence. A bubble where criticism rarely penetrates deeply. Where headlines come and go. Where backlash fades faster than the next destination. Still, living inside such a bubble requires constant motion. The travel never stops. The appearances must continue. The image must stay fresh. And the audience must remain engaged. Lauren Sanchez seems to thrive in this environment. Her background in media taught her how to hold attention, how to perform without appearing artificial, how to maintain control while looking spontaneous. These are skills that translate perfectly into her current role, even if that role has no official title. And yet, beneath the glamour, there is tension. Because when a woman expresses freedom so openly, especially later in life, society grows uneasy. Questions arise. Why does she dress like this? Why does she dance like that? Why does she not slow down? Why does she seem untouched by criticism? The answer may be simpler than people expect. She does not feel the need to explain herself. And that, perhaps, is the most unsettling thing of all. As Lauren Sanchez continues to move through elite spaces with unapologetic confidence, the line between admiration and resentment grows thinner. Her life becomes a mirror. Some see aspiration. Others see excess. Some see empowerment. Others see provocation. But no one looks away. In the next part of the story, we will examine how her relationship with Jeff Bezos reshaped not only her public image, but his. How love, scandal, and reinvention collided under the brightest spotlight imaginable. And how Hollywood, once again, revealed its complicated relationship with women who refuse to behave the way history expects them to. Because in the world of cinematic sins, the greatest controversy is never what someone does. It is how boldly they do it. There are moments in Hollywood when time seems to slow down. A camera flash freezes. A single photograph escapes into the wild. And suddenly the story is no longer about a person. It becomes about what people think they see. This is one of those moments. Lauren Sanchez steps into the frame wearing confidence, wealth, and a carefully chosen cutout top. The outfit is bold but elegant. Fashion-forward, expensive, deliberate. The kind of look designed not just to be seen but to be remembered. At first glance, nothing seems out of place. But then the internet does what it always does. It zooms in, not with curiosity, not with kindness, but with obsession. Within hours, screenshots begin circulating. Comment sections fill. Headlines sharpen. Words like "reveals more than intended" and "stuns fans" spread across blogs and social feeds. The image is no longer about style. It becomes a referendum on age, beauty, power, and the impossible standards placed on women in the public eye. And that is where our story truly begins. Because this isn't just about a top. It's about what happens when a woman connected to one of the most powerful men on earth is viewed not as a human being, but as a high-resolution object meant to be inspected, judged, and reduced. Lauren Sanchez has lived many lives. Journalist, television personality, licensed pilot, producer, and now, wife of Jeff Bezos. Each chapter of her life has come with its own scrutiny. But nothing compares to the microscope that arrives when love intersects with extreme wealth. In Hollywood and Silicon Valley alike, visibility is currency. And once you have it, you never get to decide how it's spent. The photograph in question is taken at a public event. The lighting is harsh. The angle unforgiving. The cutout design of the top exposes skin in a way that fashion often celebrates when worn by younger women, but interrogates when worn by women over 50. That difference matters. Because what fans claim to see when they zoom in says far more about cultural conditioning than it does about Lauren Sanchez's body. Some commenters describe loose skin. Others imply flaws that need explaining. A few cross the line into cruelty. But beneath the noise is a deeper question rarely asked out loud. Why does aging become scandalous only when women refuse to hide it? Hollywood has always sold an illusion. Perfect skin. Perfect bodies. Perfect youth. And when that illusion cracks, even slightly, the response is swift and unforgiving. Men are allowed to age into gravitas. Women are asked to age quietly. Lauren Sanchez does not age quietly. She appears confident, visible, unapologetic. And that confidence alone is enough to provoke backlash. The cutout top becomes symbolic. Not because of what it shows, but because of what it refuses to conceal. This moment echoes a familiar pattern in celebrity culture. When a woman reaches a certain age, her visibility is treated as defiance. Her fashion choices are framed as risks. Her body becomes public property. The internet calls it commentary, but often it is control. Zoom culture has changed everything. High-definition cameras capture details never meant to be dissected. Screenshots freeze moments that real life would never pause long enough to notice. A wrinkle, a fold, a shadow. Suddenly, humanity becomes evidence. And for women married to billionaires, the scrutiny intensifies. Because now, appearance is unfairly tied to worth, to deservingness, to the question no one should ask, but many silently do. How does she look compared to the power beside her. Lauren Sanchez is not new to this game. She has been judged before. Her relationship with Jeff Bezos was once framed as controversy rather than companionship. Her ambition questioned. Her motives speculated about endlessly. But fashion criticism hits differently, because it pretends to be harmless. A dress review, a style opinion, a zoomed-in screenshot. Yet beneath it lies something sharper. A discomfort with women who refuse to shrink.
This is not about skin.
It is about permission. Who is allowed to show their body? Who is allowed to age publicly? Who is allowed to remain visible after 50 without apology? Lauren Sanchez walks into the frame knowing all of this, or perhaps knowing none of it and choosing to live anyway. That choice alone disrupts expectations. Hollywood has always punished women who do not perform youth correctly. But what we are witnessing now is something more modern, more digital, and more relentless. Judgment at scale. Algorithms reward outrage. Headlines exaggerate. Nuance disappears. A single image becomes a story stripped of context and inflated for clicks. And once that happens, the human being at the center often vanishes. In place of Lauren Sanchez stands an idea, a symbol, a projection screen for cultural anxiety. But before we go further, we need to step back. Because to understand why this moment exploded, we must understand the woman behind the headline. Not the zoomed-in version, not the caricature, but the full arc, where she came from, what she built, and why her presence continues to unsettle people who claim not to care. Because scandals are rarely born from facts alone. They are born from discomfort. We begin peeling back the layers. The rise of Lauren Sanchez, the Hollywood machine that shaped her, and the quiet rules women are expected to follow once they cross an invisible age line. Rules she may have just broken by wearing a top and standing still while the world zoomed in.